So we're at Golden Doves class, 228. We're page 137. Really fascinating topic. The two dimensions of the written law, one being the actual consonants, and the other being the vocalization of the consonants. That second dimension, the vocalization of the consonants, is the bridge between the Torah Shebiktav and the Torah Shebe'al Peh, in as much as the vowels are there to align the Torah Shebiktav with the Torah Shebe'al Peh, so that when we read the text in accordance with the vowels, or the public reading of the Torah, it's in accordance with how we perform the mitzvot and the common understanding of the words, right? Um, but the point being, and we were bringing from that Adbaz, Rabbi David ibn Zimra, and really a brilliant passage. I have to say, like, I'm so impressed by our Chachamim, how they had such knowledge. I mean, like, he's talking about ideas and linguistics that are very modern. Um, and he refers to the consonantal reading of the Torah as a spiritual. And the reason is, and because when we perform the mitzvot, it's our physical state that performs the mitzvot. In Perek Gimel, Masachet Berachot, they bring the pasuk b'metim chofshi, and they state that in Olam Haba there are no more mitzvot because the mitzvot are in accordance with the vocalized text of the Torah, right? But in Olam Haba, it's not the vocalized text of the Torah. It's the consonantal text of the Torah. Now, the consonantal text of the Torah, it's like infinite chambers of wisdom. The vocalized text, once you vocalize it, you reduce it from infinite chambers of wisdom to, you know, a specific number of chambers of wisdom, because those chambers of wisdom are reading the Torah in a very specific way. And again, in accordance with the Torah Shebe'al Peh. But in Olam Haba, where you don't have that limitation, the vowels, so when you read the text of the Torah, it's infinite. The knowledge you get from the text, it's really, this is such an invigorating idea. It's amazing, I have to say. So page 137 of the Golden Doves. At the consonantal level, spiritual reading, what the David ibn Zimra refers to as spiritual reading, the Torah comprehends all possible senses, right? Because there's so many, the consonants without vowels, our minds can't perceive that in this world, right? My father once told me, that refers to the consonants. That's what they saw. So our mind can't process a consonantal text without vowels, but in Olam Haba we can. Accordingly, a vocalized scroll is ritually invalid. That's why when you read from the Sefer Torah, if somebody put a vowel in the Sefer Torah is pasul, because you're limiting the Sefer Torah from infinite number of chambers of wisdom to a very specific number of chambers of wisdom. You just limited the Torah. So the Torah that we read in the Knis is almost like the Torah of Olam Haba. Now it's true, we read it in accordance with the vocalized text, but the Sefer Torah itself is infinite. Right? Right. And I think really that's what that means, that Mishnah. Right. So the statement of Ben Bagbag, Hafoch ba behafoch ba dekula ba, right? That's the infinite version, the non-vocalized version of the Sefer Torah. So it really is remarkable. And now my father is quoting the Radbaz again. The scroll of the Torah is not vocalized because it includes all the senses and all the profound paths. I refer to infinite chambers of wisdom, but he refers to infinite paths, right? Deracheha, derchenon, b'chol netivotei shalom. Okay. All of these may be expounded in each letter, faces within faces and secrets within secrets. That's beautiful. The consonantal level of the Torah has endless and endless and endless secrets. No limits are known to us on this. If the scroll of the Torah had been vocalized, then it would have had a limit and a magnitude. Right? Exactly. Because the minute you vocalize it, you reduce the number, you reduce it from infinite to this specific reading. It could not have been expounded except in accordance with the specific vocalization of the word, right? Whatever the vocalization is, right? However, since the scroll of the Torah is a compound of all possible perfections, it was not vocalized in order that all these types of perfections could be expounded, right? Because if you were to vocalize it, you would not be able to have all these types of perfections, all these types of wisdoms, all these types of sodot, right? Well, I think that's the omek. I think that's the meaning of deracheh darchei noam bechol netivotei shalom, even though it has infinite pathways, right? But these pathways are not in dissonance with one another rather, or in conflict with one another. But there is a harmony between the different meanings of the Torah. You understand the point? Meaning there is no meaning of the Torah that lo tevaru esh bechol moshevotechem means you should burn fire on Shabbat. It says lo tevaru esh bechol moshevotechem. So all the other infinite meanings of that pasuk, the non-vocalized or consonantal meanings of that pasuk, is not going to be in dissonance with the vocalized version, which is not the light of fire. That's why right? The pathways there's a sort of beautiful harmony between them. And even the netivot, which are the more hidden pathways, they all join together in a shalom way, in a way of shelemut, right? It's great chidush, if I may. I mean, I love studying this book. I love thinking. I love learning. Yeah. So, however, since the scroll of the Torah is a compound of all possible perfections, it was not vocalized, right? We read that. This is why our sages declared there are 70 faces to the Torah. Understand this well, says the Rabbas. Shiv'im panim la Torah, right? Regarding this fundamental concept, Blanchard wrote, now, this is what I love of my father, Alav Shalom. He had such wisdom and such erudition and understanding of the various sources. So he brings Maurice Blanchard, and Maurice Blanchard, of course, was 20th century. He was a French literary writer and a literary critic. And what he says confirms what the Radbaz. The Radbaz was from centuries and centuries ago, the generation of Maran, or maybe a little before Maran, right? So maybe, I guess, I would say about maybe 15th or 15th or 16th century. Okay, so the Maurice Blanchard, he was also a philosopher, and okay. So Blanchard's works they explore themes such as language, literature, the nature of existence, um, um, and ideas of existentialism, phenomenology, post-structuralism. Now, his ideas they formed the foundation, or rather, they were influential in the later post-structuralists like Jacques Derrida, like Emmanuel Levinas, like Michel Foucault. And I'm not a fan of the post-structuralists. I think that their ideas got a little wacky in as much as they seem to suggest that there is no absolute truths, right? And on that, I completely disagree. And this formed the foundation for communism and socialism, meaning a lot of the communist ideas, a lot of the socialist ideas is everything is just a question of perspective. So let's just be all hedonistic and animals and forget about God. I'm very opposed to that. I believe Jordan Peterson also makes the connection between post-structuralism and communism. I just want to say that because when I mention Jacques Derrida, I don't want people to mistakenly think that he's a gadol for me. A person can be intelligent and I can respect his knowledge, and I can still disagree with him, right? So that's why I went on that tangent. Anyway, getting back to Maurice Blanchard, what he speaks about or his works are about is the role, the act of writing. The act of writing. Now, in Judaism, we have the act of writing, the sofer, when he writes a Sefer Torah. There's certain rules. The role of the writer, right? The experience of reading, right? So I just thought it's amazing that my father brings Maurice Blanchard. Let's see what he writes. It is very striking that within a certain tradition of the book, what is called the written Torah preceded the oral Torah, right? The latter then giving rise to the edited version that alone constitutes the book. So the latter, meaning the oral Torah, the Torah Shebe'al Peh, gives rise to the written Torah. Right. So that's interesting. And it's almost like there's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg type, like there's a dialectical relationship between the written and oral Torah. And there is a certain truth to that later point, the latter, meaning the oral Torah, giving rise to the edited version of the written Torah. That's really remarkable. That's a remarkable saying. So the Sefer Torah Moshe Rabbeinu gives is at the end of his life, after he taught the Torah Shebe'al Peh to the Jewish people. This aligns with Maurice Blanchot. Here, thought is confronted with an enigmatic proposition. Nothing precedes writing. Wow. Yet the writing of the first tablets does not become readable until after they are broken. Wow. And because they are broken, after and because of the resumption of the oral decision, which brings us to the second writing, the one we know, rich in meaning, capable of issuing commandments, always equal to the law transmits. It's very deep. It's a very deep concept. I want to see where he wrote this. So give me a moment while I check footnote 17. Footnote 17. The absence of the book. Wow. Wow. It's very deep because on the one hand, Moshe Rabbeinu taught the Pesukim to the Jewish people. So maybe that was like the original, let's call it the original. What he refers to as, it is very striking that within a certain tradition of the book, what is called the written Torah preceded the oral Torah, because in the sense of Moshe Rabbeinu taught the Pesukim to the people, and then he explained the Pesukim, but first I had to read the Pesukim, and only after reading the Pesukim can he explain the Pesukim, and then at the very end, he wrote the Sefer Torah. What he's writing is very deep. And then we have the Luchot Rishonot, which can't reach the people. So the Luchot Rishonot have to be broken. Right? Nothing precedes writing, right? In our thinking, and that's true. And even though nothing precedes writing, but the writing on the first tablets is only readable after they're broken. So it was like the experience, that whole experience of seeing the Luchot broken, it changed Am Yisrael. And it gave them the ability to read what is now broken, but then reconstituted, right? It's really remarkable. Okay, we're going to stop here.